Welcome everyone, and this month I have a very special guest. This is Latifah Saafir, and she has the actual trunk show, but since she's in studio, I'm going to keep you here the whole time. Yay. So we get to interact. So for this month's So Fun Club, we are going to be going through her trunk show, but before we get into all of these, modern, gorgeous, you're going to fall in love with these quilts, let me talk about some of the business. Don't forget, you can always go to moors-sew.com for any and all of your sewing needs. And as usual, at the end of this video, we are going to have show and tell as usual. And for this show and tell, if you like, comment, or share, we have this wonderful template pattern, which is Thora Bell as the giveaway. So you're going to want to wait and check that out. So let me formally introduce you, Latifah. Now, some of you may have met her or seen her at some of the local quilt shows, which is where I met you this last year in January. Yes, absolutely. And we are so lucky. She is a local girl here in Southern California to have her come into our studio and actually do the videoing. So tell me a little bit about how you got started.
I've been sewing my whole life. My mom taught me when I was very, very young. Incidentally, she doesn't love to sew, but she knew that it was important. And so when we got interested, I probably was 10 or 11, she gave me and my sister the sewing machine. And I always was interested in quilts, but for whatever reason, I was a little bit intimidated. So I didn't start quilting until I was in my 30s. Oh, wow. But I dove in head first and started quilting, started designing, and then also co-founded the Los Angeles Modern Quilt Guild and what ended up turning into the National or International Modern Quilt Guild as well during like the same year. It all happened at the same time. So I fell in love hard, and I've been quilting ever since. It's my whole life now.
Well, I find it interesting. I didn't start quilting till about the same time that you did. But I think it's one of those natural transitions. As you get a little bit older, it's a wonderful hobby, as you all well know. Sewing is just one of those things that is easy to pick up and so rewarding for so many reasons.
Absolutely.
And quilting is absolutely my niche. I've been a sewer for many years, but it was quilting that really got me on a daily basis, it seems, to be using my sewing machine.
Absolutely.
So let's start with all these wonderful quilts. You guys are in for a huge treat. We've got lots of big, large, fun, bright, vibrant quilts.
You can't tell on camera. This is like a huge stack. So you guys, you'll get to see all of them. And I dug deep into the archives to pull out fun quilts for you today.
And as we have always done, we have negotiated great pricing from Latifah, and we will be passing it right along to our customers here. So you will know that you can get the best pricing here at Moors. And once again, that's moors-sew.com. So let's get started with one of my favorites, and one of the ones that I find that many people are nervous and struggle with is curved piecing.
Yeah, and so, well, one of the beautiful things, Michelle's going to start lifting this up for you to show you, but one of the fun things about the size template that Moors selected for you is it's great for beginners as well as for experienced quilters, and that is the 12-inch Clammy. So this is made with a clamshell template. The Clammy is wonderful because you can use it not only to make your clamshell quilt, but lots of other curved shapes as well. So it's a very versatile template. This is the throw size. My quilts are sort of big, so it's about 60 by 72, but it looks great in solids, as you can see here, but it also looks great in kind of whatever fabric you have in your stash. Incidentally, both quilts that we brought here today are solid versions, but I've seen this done in everything from, I don't know, your Civil War reproduction fabrics to batiks to like whatever's your thing, because it's a classic shape. So, and there's a ton, this is probably my most, well, not probably, this is my most popular pattern. I will be teaching this pattern until I'm probably 85, but I'm okay with that because it's classic and it's beautiful and it's popular for a reason. The beautiful thing is once you've gotten your template and your pattern from Moors, then I have a whole series of online tutorials on how to use the pattern and also how to sew the curves. And this is the quilt that I go through the most thoroughly. So you'll see step by step how to make this pattern online.
And I want to show real quick, I'm going to bust in here because this quilt is amazing. I want you to see some of the detailed stitches she's done inside the clams. Is every single clam different?
I'm not sure. Christy Ryan actually quilted this for me, and I think there are a few duplicates, but they don't touch each other.
Yeah, it's absolutely stunning. And that's one of the beauties and the fun thing that you can do with clamshells is not only can they be solids, but use your prints that you fall in love with, and it's big enough for those large scale prints to use with this template.
Exactly.
I love clamshells.
You can have fun with the quilting. Of course, it really, really highlights your fabric as well. So you can see the actual size of that template. And as you can see, once you purchase this template, because we know templates happen, even with the great pricing that Michelle secured for you, they're pricey, but this template you can use not only for clamshells, but circles, half circles, quarter circles, or your drunkard's path, and orange peels and other shapes as well. So once you get this, you're going to have a lot of fun.
Lots of versatility.
And learning about that curved piecing. So speaking of templates, this is another quilt made with that same template, and this is called Clam Toss. So you saw with Glam Clam, all of the clamshells were oriented in the same way. With Clam Toss, now we have the clamshells that are sort of scattered. The beautiful thing about this particular pattern is that you can have a lot of fun with playing with your fabric and your layout. So once you get that Clam Toss pattern, there's everything that you need is in the pattern, but I have lots of bonuses. And one of the bonuses is downloadable. So there's a download code inside. And one of the bonuses is the coloring page. And the coloring page really is fun because you can really play with, and I give you lots of examples in the pattern, but the coloring page, you can really play with layout, because if you see how some of these shapes interact, you can have a lot of secondary patterns within just from fabric selection. So this is one that you can have a lot of fun with. Actually, I just had another store that taught this, and they sent me a pattern that was so beautiful. I think I need to replicate it when they did kind of a rainbow effect on it. So this is the same pattern. This is Clam Toss as well. Now you see, instead of having sort of those cascading color bands, I did little individual pieces with just like a single fabric, creating little pops throughout. I write my patterns a little bit different, so you're not making the cover. You can make the cover quilt, but you don't have to. So I'm going to push you in the patterns to really take the time to play with color and fabric and layout, and I give you lots of examples and lots of pointers to do that. So I want you to be able to pull kind of yourself through the pattern and kind of really express yourself through that.
So, and one of the great things you've seen now, 4 of these quilts from the clamshell, all of them completely different.
Completely
Latifah.
different. Absolutely. Completely different. And that was 2 different patterns, but completely different as well. So we're going to continue on our clammy path here. This is a fun pattern and really great, especially if you're just starting out playing with curve piecing. And this is called Muffin Tops. This is a rainbow variation. I actually have a recipe for this that tells you the exact fabrics and colors on my website. But once again, it's a pattern for you to be able to play with. But if you've never sewn curves before, this is great. It also uses a 12-inch clammy, and the curve is very gentle. And it's really, really great for learning. You create this in 12-inch blocks, and it goes together really, really nicely. And this is also one of the very few that I actually trim up each of the individual blocks. Wow. And so it allows you to really be a beginner on that as well.
Okay, let's see what's next.
So I have a couple of different muffin tops. This is the cover quilt for muffin tops. And this is kind of how the pattern is originally written, for you to do 3 different sort of fabrics per 12-inch block. And the fun thing about this pattern, at a QuiltCon many years ago, actually, I had it as halfway quilted on the floor when I was a sewing machine rep for when I worked with Janome. You guys have Janome brand in your stores. And I actually had people quilting on this at the shop. I mean, at the store when we were demoing. So it's kind of, I don't know who all stitches is in this quilt, but this is a fun, quick sew. It's great from.
And it's so interesting, the shapes.
And you can do fun things with it too. Mm-hmm. So as far as, you saw the rainbow one where we had sort of the colors mixed up. Now we have the colors or fabrics and groupings. So, and this is a little bit more of a sophisticated palette. The rainbow was just really fun and bright. And then once again, you can do different things. And I think we have this one a little upside down because we have the color kind of gradation on this one. It's a little baby quilt. And so I changed the background fabrics. So,
so interesting.
It's interesting, and I really want you to play. So like pull it out. You can totally make the cover quilt or something very similar to it. But then look at, I encourage people to use hashtags if they post it online. So look up hashtag Muffin Tops quilt and you'll see some fun examples as well.
Very nice.
Okay, so this is where we start having a lot of fun. I saw a cross stitch. I saw a cross stitch flower that was painted on a wall, and this is what inspired this quilt. And I went down this whole journey on figuring out how to develop a quilt that mimics cross stitch. So it's called Duck Face People, and people ask why. It's because the little mouth looked like the really silly duck face selfies where people were doing this in pictures years ago.
Duck
it's
lips.
Me just having fun with it. But it has 12 different characters. So you could pick your characters. I even have a bride and a groom. I have a couple in their goading years. So you can see, you can pick a hair color and clothing color. And I have layouts from baby all the way through king in most of my patterns, but in this one as well. So you can have fun with it.
Oh my goodness.
I did make a really whimsical wedding quilt with this one. But of course, this makes a really, really fun baby quilt.
Oh, look at that.
So one character, we have our little guy here, which is super cute. And of course, you can pick, skin color, clothes, and 12 different characters you can pick from. So you can have fun. And I should have brought one. Maybe we'll pop a picture in of a pillow.
Oh, yeah.
I say pillow because I have the complete alphabet and cross stitch is a bonus inside of the pattern as well.
Neat.
So it's a full-on pattern. Now, if you were at a quilt show, what 90% of you are going to do is walk up to this quilt and look at the little bitty pieces. And everyone says, that looks like it's too hard, but it's all chain pieced. So we chain piece all of the X's. We do one whole color at a time or one whole fabric at a time, and it goes together way quicker than you could probably imagine.
Right.
Or it's a lot more streamlined. It is not nearly as hard. I'm pretty sure that Morris carries a 2.5-inch square ruler. That's going to be your friend with this. If you don't have it, they're pretty inexpensive. It's a 2.5-inch square, and it makes squaring those X's up really, really quick and easy.
So cute. And I love the versatility that you can really coordinate it with your kids, your family.
Exactly. Pick the perfect fabric, pick the perfect skin color. Okay, so
this is one, I'm going to jump in here.
Go for it.
This is one of the first quilts that I saw Latifah's that I fell in love with. Now let her talk about it.
This is actually one of the first versions of this quilt too. So it doesn't always see the world. And as you can tell, it's nice and crinkled already because it's been washed. But this is when I first started playing with bias tape applique. If you've never played with it, it's completely top stitch. We're sewing down one edge and then the opposite edge. Michelle can see this is actually one when I was really experimenting where I stitched the bias tape on top. I'm not going to have you do that. You stitch it directly on the background fabric. You can have a lot of fun with putting these inserts inside of it. And as you see, the bias tape goes across the whole width of the quilt. There's a couple of different ways you can do this. A row at a time, which makes it pretty manageable. But you can also do it a block at a time, which we're going to show on the next quilt.
So cute.
Yeah, it's a really fun, whimsical, modern quilt pattern, but it's a fun way to learn bias tape applique as well.
And look at this one.
And here we go, a block at a time. Now, the blocks are designed so that you can either line them up, or if you want to, you can make it where it's more random, where it doesn't line up. And so it's and you can include these sort of inserts in the background, as you'll see here, or you can have some blocks that don't have the sort of inserts behind them as well. So fun.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the next quilt we're going to look at is one of my favorites, and this is really, really popular as well. When you see it in person, the shapes are so big and bold. It's really fun. It's a great summer quilt, but it's called Ice Lollies, and you get a little bit of everything. It's a lot of straight piecing in here as well, but you know, I got to throw a curve in. If you don't know by now, for some reason, I'm drawn to curves. You have a little bit of a curve in here. There are no extra templates that are needed. So this is just your pattern only. And of course, I have layouts from baby all the way through king on this. And you can have a lot of fun with, with fabric and color. Yes. And you can just do a lot of fun things in here. So that's a really fun one. I think I just have the one sample of that one. Okay, so the next whole series of quilts we're going to look at is 2 patterns that I have with the ruler I released did it release last year or the year before? But it's called the Herie. And so the Herie, if you have quilted for any length of time, we know that half rectangle triangles can be a challenge. So the Herie is a wonderful tool that allows you to pre-cut your half rectangle triangles, and it also allows you to square them up in sizes from a little bitty 1x2 all the way up to a 6x12,
which is amazing,
which is really big and amazing. And then it also does a different dimension, which you won't see in any of these quilts, but I'm just talking about the tool itself, since you can purchase this, and we can do a long skinny from a 1x6 up to a 2x12.
Wow!
So you can have a lot of fun playing with this tool right here.
So let me show this a lot easier. While we talk.
Right. So this is called Mood Forever, and this is a variation that uses ombre fabric. So this is Jennifer Sampu's Sky Ombres. There's a couple of different ombres on the market you can use for this. So you can see this is one piece of fabric here in the green. The gray is one piece of fabric. So you can have a lot of fun. There's so many variations of this particular pattern. And I don't think I brought a print version, but you can do prints. Now the standard pattern calls for 2 fabrics per sort of shape here. But this is ombre, so this is a really fun variation, and you can have a lot of fun with that. So this is going to look great. I've done this.
I love the individual shapes within the shapes, that if you look closely, you're seeing more to the eye than just the tall triangles. You can see hexagons and other things that come to life. So I love that versatility.
Exactly. Yeah, this is a fun one. But the beauty of the Herie is that it does make you have really nice sharp points really easily. Okay, so this is the cover quilt for Mood Forever. And as you can see, this is the one where we have 2 fabrics or 2 colors per hexagon shape. So you get to pick 8 different groups of fabric, and the pattern is laid out and organized really well where you're putting the right fabrics together for it to flow together really easily. So this is another one of those quilts. It also looks great in prints. I tend to do a lot of solids for my cover quilts because I want you to be able to imagine your fabric in the quilt, and I think you could do that better if it's not print.
Right.
But I do have print samples of this. I do want to mention, just like with the Clammy, the Herie has a ton of videos as well. So you're not on your own trying to figure out how to use that tool. On the Herie itself, as well as on the patterns, you're going to have a QR code. It's going to be on the actual ruler itself. So if you have your ruler, you can scan that. It'll take you straight to a page on my website. On the patterns themselves, on the back, you'll see that QR code as well. And it's going to take you to a page with lots of reference materials. You see lots of other picture examples. You'll also have links to the YouTube videos as well. So,
and as a quilter, I appreciate those little add-ins that you do, that you don't just buy this template, because I will admit I bought a template at, say, Road to California, and when I go to use it 6 months later, you're like, wait, what was I going to use this for? So it's nice to have that QR code where you can reference all of the samples and how to do it. So
and they're pretty thorough. So it's almost like being in class with me. So I take you step by, we go through cutting, we go through trimming, we go through sewing, the whole 9. Okay, so this one's really fun. It's called Paper Drop. It was designed by actually a friend of mine in Australia, Caroline Hatley. And this is just a really fun pattern. So I had 2 choices when we were writing the pattern, when I sat down with Caroline, and it was either to do Y seams or to do smaller triangles. So you actually have, or smaller half rectangle triangles, you actually have these smaller 3x6 units that are sewn together with rectangles to make it have the appearance of the 6x12. And I thought we would just include one hard thing in the pattern.
Yeah.
So the one hard thing is you nail those half rectangle triangles, and you don't have to do Y seams. So this quilt does go together without Y seams, which makes it really nice.
Oh, I love it. It's
so
pretty.
this is fun because this is what prints. And so you have two different prints, and paper drop is, we just thought about ribbons and how they sort of cascade, because that's sort of how it feels, like origami or folded ribbons. And so you can imagine what two sides of that ribbon would look like, and you'll see it in the next quilt. We'll actually show you more sort of the, if the ribbon were a single color and we have sort of those two sides of the same color. Wow. So here we have more of that same quilt. This is our lap size. Now, you guys know I make large quilts now. But now you see I picked two, like a lighter and darker orange, purple, and sort of the teal or color there as well. So that's paper drop. This one goes together really, really fun as well. And once you get making those half rectangle triangles down, then you can whip these out pretty easily as well. So that's the Herie.
On to more curves.
On to more curves. Of course, this is my first love. Okay, so this whole quilt has a sort of a journey. This is my first printed pattern, was Molehills.
Oh, really?
And it was recently re-released. So you've gotten now my very first original pattern and many years of experience that gone into writing patterns. And I was like, I'm just going to refresh it. We rewrote the whole pattern. Okay. I say I work really closely with my technical editor to make sure that it's really easy and clear for you to read. And one of the things we did with the rewrite is we took those arcs, which originally were a little bit bigger, and we made them fat quarter friendly now. So Moore's has the fat quarter, and we also released a brand new Molehills template. And this is an optional template, but it's highly encouraged and it works really, really well. So you have the template and you have the pattern has paper templates in it, but this is really, really nice to have. But that's new as well. So the original pattern did not have the acrylic template as well.
I tell you, I am a template girl. If there is a template, I'm going to buy it. It just makes life so much easier.
It makes it so much easier.
You can cut more at a time. It's more precise. And when I'm making a quilt, I want it to be as close to perfect as possible.
Exactly.
So having those templates are going to help you get there.
So a little bit about the name. Molehills is from my mom always telling us when we were kids to not make a mountain out of a molehill. And I named it that because this quilt seems a lot more complicated than it actually is, the way the curves interact and the way it all goes together. There's also video support on this quilt as well. And this is, of course, my solids. You know, I fall back to my solids. This is the new cover quilt and I'll show it to a version in prints as well. But it looks great scrappy. It looks great in prints. It looks great in your batiks. It looks great in, like if you love Lori Holt or like whoever your person is as far as fabric design or whatever's in your stash, it's going to look great. Something about those curves and how they fit together. It looks great because they're classic shapes. This was actually originally designed. Well, I'll show you that quilt in just a minute. I'll show you the very first quilt that I made and how this pattern all came together. Before we show you that, I'm going to show it to you in prints. So this is the print version of Molehills. And it's more scrappy. I did this one with sort of an anchor color on the very top of each of the fans. So you see that sort of navy or darker blue on the top of each of the fans. And this is the baby size as well. So this looks, even though the fans are really big, it looks really great, even if you do a smaller quilt as well. And you see, I just have a variety of fabrics. I sort of have more of a pattern where I alternate the sort of coral and the mint turquoise sort of colors. But I've seen it completely scrappy, and you can mix and match and do a lot of fun things with this quilt.
Love it.
Now, I have a tendency to always say, what else can we do? And I have lots of bonuses in a lot of my patterns. This, incidentally, is the original.
So cute.
This is the original where it all started
original
quilt.
Molehill.
This is the very first one, and I've not made a whole bunch of these. So what you see here is each of the arcs are foundation paper pieced. And the beauty of that is that you can have a lot of different interest in each of these blocks. Now you can mix these blocks with the fans that have the individual solid piece fabric arcs. But this was designed because we were walking down Vegas Boulevard with the family. And as a quilter, I'm always looking at designs and patterns. And Vegas is great for that, incidentally. And look down on the ground, and I made the whole group stop, and I'm taking pictures of the ground because we've all walked across this really classic stonework pattern. And this is where it started. This is the first quilt. And from here, we went to the more popular version, which is kind of the Molehills quilt. The main one is the cover. So you get foundation paper piece templates that you can download in for your pattern inside of the pattern as well. Exactly. So I give you lots of options. Once again, look at those hashtags online so that you can...
we're going into Tula land.
Yes, we are. I have two and then one last quilt after that. So this quilt is called Glare, and it has huge circles. And I'm not going to make you buy huge templates for that. So you have paper templates for your big shapes. So your background, your center circles, and your background pieces, they're paper templates. The beauty is that we're only cutting for a baby quilt 9 center circles and, you know, not very many background pieces. But if you want to sort of relax that, so I can pull that template out. But we do have the template for your arcs. Now, I went back and forth on this, and originally I didn't have a acrylic template for this, but I've made probably 9 or 10 of these quilts. And then halfway through that, I'm like, I really think a template would be useful. Yeah. And so, and what we do, the way this quilt goes together, we pre-cut our little wedge pieces, stitch them together, and then take the template and trim it down. And so we don't have to worry about getting that curve right and having, so it's slightly oversized and we trim it down. And this is the template for you to make the rings. Now, we know that templates can be pricey, and I didn't want to have a one show pony. Is that the term? One show pony. You know what I mean. Yes. So I didn't want to have one template to make one horse pony. We'll get it one day. Okay. So with that being said, it says Glare Quilts and More because I have other things planned for this template as well. So we have future things planned. So this one, you see the background and the center circles are the same. Yep. So, and there's a ton of different designs on what you can do. Once again, QR code is going to lead you to a single web page on my website that's also going to give you access to videos as well. And then we have our Tula pink. This is from her Everglow line. Yep. And then once again, if you love those larger scale prints, and we say large scale prints because you have this large area, but it really works with almost every single fabric that I've thrown at it. But see how much fun we had with the stripes and the rings on this one? That's one of my favorite parts of this particular quilt right here. And the center circles are fat quarter friendly. So they're great for pulling your fat quarters out and creating those center circles. You'll need yardage for your background. But other than that, you can work from stash on a lot of these quilts. Well,
and first off, I think you guys know I love Tula Pink, but I love her fabrics, and I have all of these ones in this line. And sometimes it's so hard to find a template, a pattern to use with it. I love, especially these hippos. You've got them in all of their glory. The lion, all of them are placed strategically so that you can see the pattern and it's not taking away from the quilt. They all work together flawlessly.
And Tula is great for cutting up, but sometimes you really want to see those prints. Yep. But also if you have, whether it's Kay Fassett or Anna Maria Horner, that have those really bold prints. I did this with one version, and you can find it on the website, on that web page that you can go to. But with Iman, who designs for Free Spirit Fabrics. And it's just absolutely gorgeous. And you can make a lot of decisions. So with this one, we have 2 fabrics per ring. But I did the one with Iban. I have 1 fabric or 2 fabrics for every ring on the whole quilt. And I just do different variation for the centers. Yeah. So you have lots and lots of different options.
This may not make it home with you.
It's actually one of my favorite quilts. I've already mentioned I've made like 9 or 10 of these, and I don't think I'm done because every time I realize, I'm like, oh, we should make a different one. You know what? Let's rotate this just because it's going to bother me because our quilting, you can see the Baptist fans. And this is the cover quilt. Once again, this one does have the same center on this one. And I played around with this when I was making it. And instead of having the same, I cut the rings in half and then mix and match them. So I encourage you so much to play. And I'm really excited. This pattern is just hitting the market. So you're getting a brand new pattern. And I'm so excited to see what everyone does with it.
So one of the things, Latifah, that I love about your patterns is these Quilt Cadets that we're going to get into. But before we get into these really fun, cute things for juveniles or children to sew, or what a great tool for them to learn to sew.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about the wonderful quilt in the back.
Yep, we almost forgot about her because she's behind us, but it's one of my favorites. This is called All Eyes on Me. And I have fun naming my quilts, but a girlfriend of mine who's not a quilter, she's really creative and helps me. And she says it look like cat eye marbles.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's how we came up with the name. It does,
absolutely.
So
now that you said that,
yeah. But it's another 12-inch clammy pattern. So we talked about the versatility of the 12-inch clammy. So now we have the full circle, but we also have orange pills. And the beautiful thing about this quilt is you really get to play with value. You really get to play with fabric and color. But you have to pay attention to the interactions of the shapes. So this version of the quilt, we have where you can focus on the whole circle. If you change the background up, if you change the centers of the circles to the background pieces, then your orange pills are going to pop. So it's just a fun quilt to sew. It's a fun quilt to play with. And I'm really excited to see, all the quilts that come out of this one.
Yeah. And one of the things I love about this quilt is as you stare at it, you will see different shapes emerge. So we have the obvious round, but the central part can play with this, and it's one of those things where that quilt has got so many options for you to create with, and it's just beautiful looking at the whole thing. I love your colors, and
the 12-inch clammy makes it really easy to cut and go together as well.
Very good.
Perfect.
Okay,
Quilt Cadets. So I learned how to sew, as I mentioned earlier, when I was really young. And there's something really beautiful and powerful about sewing, learning how to sew at that age, because you're sort of fearless.
Yes.
So I wanted to develop sort of a tool for us to be able to share our love of sewing with future generations. So I dreamed of this pattern line called Quilt Cadets. It currently has 7 patterns in the line, and Morris has picked their favorite 3. And they're 3 of my favorites. So the first pattern we have is called Mood Pillows. And I always thought about, we know how kids can switch their moods.
Yes, on a dime.
Okay, so the pillows are made, so they're reversible. So it's just an envelope stop pillow. They're decorated with felt, and it can be stitched down, or it can even be applique, which is fabric glue.
Yeah.
Depending on the skill level of your kid. And it's just a fun, so the pattern has a ton of options. So it has an old school CD inside of here because when the pattern was developed, but there's a download code where you can download all of the templates. So we have faces, we have monsters.
So sweet.
And then we have cats.
Oh, I love the cats. So nice.
So you have a ton of options, and it's really easy because literally at the minimum, that's a little felt from another project, but at the minimum, they're sewing envelope pillows, so which is what
will lead to so many other things.
Exactly. Yes. And at maximum, if they want to really get into it, they can actually stitch down all of the different applique pieces, or you can just use a pretty simple fabric glue for that.
And I love that they're large, minimally shaped things, so it'll be easy for your first-time sewer with, guidance from an adult to stitch down those felt pieces. And they're going to have so much joy because they've made it.
They've made it, and it's all theirs. The patterns are really heavily illustrated. There's lots of pictures. So if your child is a visual learner, they can learn that way. And so with just minimum hand holding with that. So that's a really, really fun, great beginner pattern. Cool. The next pattern is, I'm going to set this here. The next pattern is called Enchanted Travel Pillows. And this is one of those that's functional. They can make either a what is it, a dragon or a unicorn? I think those are both
unicorns, I
yeah,
think.
I think we picked both unicorns. You see the dragon on the pattern though. But you can make it with, this is made with fleece. This one's not stuffed, but this is made with fleece, with a fleece little unicorn. What is that called on a unicorn? Hair. I don't know what it's called. They're mane. Yay! Okay, yeah, we got it right this time. And then this one is actually fleece line, so fusible fleece line quilting cotton as well. So, and it goes together once again, minimal seams. This particular pattern and the next one we're going to show you was actually designed by Annabelle Wrigley from Little Pink Cushion Studio. And she had a sewing studio in Virginia where she strictly worked with children. So it, they're made for children. They've been tested by children, and it's really great.
Well, even the neck opening is a little bit smaller. I was going to put it on me, but it would look ridiculous. But I love that your children can each get their own little pillow for when they travel. They can coordinate it and really customize it towards their likes and needs.
And it's minimal seams.
Yeah.
So the main seam is the here all the way around. They have to whip stitch it closed and a couple of seams here, but it goes together pretty easily, so it's definitely a project that's manageable.
And this would be great for your little boys as well, because you know they can make it a superhero, a special. They have the dragon.
The dragon,
yeah,
as well.
and my kids would have just eaten these up when they were little, as far as having their own for when they travel.
Believe it or not, I always say for children and children at heart, because of the fact that they're great patterns to learn on.
Yeah.
If you have someone that really just wants to learn to sew.
I love that.
So the last pattern is kind of the most complicated one, and we definitely have this one pattern tested. So it's a lot. It's simplified as much as possible, but it's also very functional. It's called Braveheart Backpack, and you have your fun straps on the back and webbing. So it's, I wanted to create real patterns. So I didn't want to create it where it was so dumbed down. And it has a little bit of stuffing inside, but
and I love the little cinch
the
things, so they
draw
can really
strings, so they open up and close really nicely, and it's functional, so they can actually make it. It's nice with a nice canvas fabric on the outside. We've used upholstery fabric on the outside of some of them. So you can have a lot of fun with those. So that one's called Braveheart Backpack.
And this screams to me, only because I had boys and we have lots of sports, perfect for your water polo, your swimming, to put all their stuff in, for your soccer. I mean, so many things that they can do with this besides having a book bag or something they take to school.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's a great pattern tested by kids. We made sure that we sent it to kids. We had kids test it with and without a parent as well, to make sure that they can walk through, and everything's included in the pattern. So it has all of your full-size templates and everything right here as well.
They're wonderful.
So.
I love them. Even for us adults.
Oh,
this
yeah,
would be fun.
Agreed. Yeah.
Well, very good. Well, thank you so much, Latifah.
Thank you for
This has
having
been
me.
great. I know that our customers are going to eat these patterns and templates up. And before I let you go, let me have you help me with my show and tell.
Perfect.
So for my show and tell this month, I'm bringing back something I made a while ago. So this quilt started off kind of as therapy type of thing. I had had surgery and I was on downtime. I was on bed rest and I couldn't do much. And I don't know if you're like me, but every time I'm told I can't do something, all of a sudden I want to clean the house, Latifah.
Of course, absolutely.
I want to do everything that I shouldn't be doing. So my mom was with me and she wouldn't let me though. So what I decided I could do was I grabbed my hexagon template, my rotary cutter and a mat, and I could sit and I could cut out these hexes. And I cut out, oh my gosh, I still have these hexes left over that I have cut out. What I did was I went into my scraps. I know you guys know that I love my scraps, but the great thing about it is I can look and see all the projects that I've made with it. So like for instance, I have, where is that fabric? Oh, I was looking at it just a minute ago. I have fabrics that I had made. Oh, here's one of them.
On this side.
I had made for my friend whose daughter had served in Africa, and she came back with some African prints, and I made a quilt for her. So I had scraps from that. I had scraps from a quilts. I have Halloween. I have a little bit of everything, and it was fun kind of fussy cutting and getting all those little bits of pieces.
What are they saying? The song remembers when. This is like the fabric
yes,
remembers when.
Yes,
right,
so many things to reflect on.
Yeah.
And then what I did was I added an adhesive in the center of my hexies because I wanted a rough edge. And then I stitched them down, and then it's rough edge. So as it wears and as I wash it, it will get more and more fluffy, which is what I love. And I just did a basic modern straight line quilting on this because number one, I wanted to kind of get those edges stitched down, and it's pretty tight and close on that.
And this will be great for I Spy quilt too.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Absolutely.
So it was a lot of fun to do. It's one of those things where I always tell you guys when you do show and tell, don't say it's not perfect, but it's totally not perfect. It's super easy. If you follow my hexie, sometimes one line goes a little bit cattywampus, but that's okay. The beauty of it is, you know, in the rough edge of it, and I love it. And to this day, I still put it out on my tables and show it. So
it's gorgeous.
Thank you so much,
Beautiful.
Latifah.
And so textural too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very
This isn't
tactile.
the quilt show. I can touch it.
Well,
it's
very
beautiful.
good.
Very
So
good.
I want to see what you're making. So remember that to like, comment, and share at moors-sew.com, and you can be in the running to win that Thora quilt template that I showed at the beginning. And that's about wrapping it up. Thank you so much
Thanks
for
so
joining
much
us.
for having me. It's been so much fun. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And we look forward to seeing you in the future. Yeah. And all of you out there, remember moors-sew.com, and you'll get the best prices here on all of our quilts. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.